Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of the Impact series hosted by 40. I will be your host today, Michael. I am one of the co-founders and lead recruiters here at 40. Really excited to have Cem Uyanik with me today, who is CEO of a fantastic company called Urban Ray. Now, it's a topic that I find incredibly interesting. I actually saw this particular subject discussed at a conference a couple of years ago. And today we're kind of talking about drone delivery, Cem. So super cool. So firstly, welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me. It's a great show. So yeah, looking forward to it.
So Cem, in terms of drone deliveries, I find it super interesting. I'm sure lots of other people find it super interesting as well. But if you can start, giving us a bit of an intro about yourself, about Urban Ray, and about your kind of approach and what's specific to Urban Ray in terms of how you're helping with the climate crisis and how you think Urban Ray can have a huge impact.
Sure. So let me start with myself. I'm Cem. I studied mechanical engineering, my bachelor's, and then aerospace engineering, my master's. So a typical engineering career, so to say. But I never really worked as an engineer because we started working on Urban Ray right after my graduation. And also during my studies, most of the time I engaged myself in extracurricular activities. So I led student organizations. I co-founded a startup before. And yeah, through all these extracurricular activities, I met my fellow co-founders, Henry and Fabian, and we started working together on Urban Ray. So I love everything that flies. Maybe that as a background, it's just fun. When I sit on a plane, I like to sit at the wing because then I can see the movements of the wings itself, the flaps and so on, and experience the movement of the plane. It's something that I have since I'm a child. And now I actually understand what's going on there, so it's cool. But the thing about aerospace industry is most of it is defense industry, so something that does really resonate with me. And the civil use cases, they are basically decades of research and development for a few percent of efficiency increase. So also not that thrilling. But the sole advanced air mobility sector, so air taxis, electric transportation, or in our case, the civil use of drones, that's something that we see with where we can actually create real impact with just a few years of elegant engineering. And my fellow co-founders share this interest, and that's basically how Urban Ray started. About Urban Ray, yes, it's drone logistics in the end, but it's not about the fancy stuff. So you don't want to deliver Starbucks coffee to your home or your Amazon goods right at the doorstep. It's more about logistics in general, because if you look into cities, urban logistics, it's just incredibly inefficient. So you have a lot of people living in cities that are ordering stuff from the internet, also businesses, they order a lot. So the number of packages is going up, but at the same time, you have less infrastructure and less people doing the transportation, because Europe, or especially Europe, wants to, cities in general, want to get rid of traffic as much as possible. And people don't like to do this job because it's a highly unattractive job. You have low salaries, the high pressure to be on time, etc. So what we see is the cause for this inefficiency in cities is this ever-growing supply-demand gap. And if you want to close it, you have to add some kind of automation, add new capacities, and only in this combination you can actually unburden urban logistics. And to make that happen, you have to use a new mobility level, because on the ground there's simply not enough space or innovation. And that's why we say, okay, new mobility level, there's only one way up, one way to go, it's up, and logistics will definitely move up to the air. That's what we want to offer. So an aerial career, the drone itself doing the deliveries, but also we are embedding this aerial network seamlessly into the current environment by also building lockers with landing docks, basically similar to a DHL or Amazon locker, just with a landing dock.
Yep.
That automates the whole interaction with the drone, battery swapping, package handling, and so on. And at the same time, it is the maximum user-friendly human-machine interface. So if someone wants to interact with our network, it's always through the terminal at the station, at the locker. So basically opening up a lid, put in a package or pick it up again and close it, closing the lid. So that's it. Totally seamless process. And in this combination, still more logistics, without actually realizing that there is more logistics going on.
Very cool, very cool. And so it's, I mean, one of the things you mentioned there, I think is a really important point. That it's, I mean, it's the logistics at the moment is very inefficient, like you said, but also it's this ever growing gap in supply and demand. So demand, as we know, is 4 packages for next day delivery. That's what everybody expects now. It's not going to stop. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But as you rightly mentioned, that the supply is falling, so less and less people want to do it, and also it's hard to do. It's like you said, it's a stressful job for the end last mile delivery person as well. So it's there has to be another way, and also a much more efficient way, which is, like you said, why going into the air makes so much sense. But this is we're not, like you said, we're not talking about Starbucks coffee. We're not talking about Amazon packages to the end consumer. This is a business to business solution, right?
In the beginning, yes. I mean, of course, in our vision at the end, B2C options will always, I mean, it's also an option that they want to offer. But of course, when I ask my neighbor, for example, if they want to go to, if they want to have their package delivered by drone, they will always say no, because right now they're still the courier driver, and they are used to it. So of course, they won't go to the locker to pick up the package. We can't deliver to the door, to be honest. Technologically, it's just not feasible, especially in cities in Western Europe, which are highly densely populated.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have this locker solution, of course, people just go there if it's attractive enough. But with the B2B, it's different. Of course, there are other drivers, there are cost drivers, they want to have it as quickly as possible and so on. So there are other drivers as well. So if you want to, and if you look into B2B logistics, there again, there are a few things that make sense, but where to start? And if I ask my neighbor, for example, if they want to get, if they want to know what they have and they're in the hospital and get treated as quickly as possible, that's a definite yes. And for that, of course, we saw real quickly the best go-to-market for aerial logistics is the healthcare sector. So where we will start is, what we will do in the beginning is that we will connect hospitals, laboratories, pathology centers, and so on to transport biomedical samples. These can be the everyday large quantities of laboratory samples such as blood, urine, and so on. But also the urgent things, pathological analyses, especially with tissue samples, and also important medication. And just with that alone, just connect these, and then over time, you can actually add more use cases or new routes to your network, which is quite easy because in the end, we are kind of a logistics airline. Our lockers are the airports. So you put them somewhere, and this place, wherever you put it, they are automatically onboarded onto our aerial network. So our network is ever growing with these lockers, with these logistics airline infrastructure. And yeah, over time,
I like that as a logistics airline, and your docking stays kind of like your airports. That's a good way to think about it.
Exactly. I mean, that's how you want to have it. In the end, people shouldn't interact with the drone, because then there's too much friction involved then, because a drone is just too fancy. And what everyone wants is they want more logistics, but they don't want to see it. So it should be very, very seamless process. And there again, so if you just have to go to an airport and that's it, that's fine. And that's what we want to build in the end. And and over time, again, it will ever grow. And at some point, of course, my neighbor won't say no anymore. They will realize, hey, it's not that bad. The drones are actually quite cool, and I get my stuff real quick. So why not just go to the locker next door at the hospital or whatever, or maybe at some other place if we put it.
Yeah, I think it's different, isn't it, to what we're used to on an individual level. So we're used to ordering something on Amazon, wherever it is, and it gets delivered to your house, sometimes the same day. So again, so people be why would I go to that locker if I can get it delivered to home? But like you said, we need to kind of have this shift in mindset from a sustainability point of view. Actually, how sustainable is that? That while it's very, very convenient, if you could go and pick up the package that is down the end of the road, then that in itself, just that small change for collectively across millions of people is going to save a huge amount of carbon and emissions as well. So I think we're not going to get there overnight, but in the future, I think that we've got to move towards that kind of mindset collectively.
That is true, definitely. I mean, me personally, I also want to push this, actually, that people are thinking more sustainable. But let's face it, sustainability is normally not the driver for people. It's something else. I don't know. It has to be attractive in a different way. Sustainability can't be the only selling point here. And there again, it's just, in general, it's super inefficient. Today, it's inefficient, and it will be more efficient. So if you don't do anything, you won't get your stuff at the same day at some point, or it will be much too expensive to get it the same day, or maybe the next hour even. So you have to make it in a way more efficient. And also, we don't want to substitute ground transportation. We just want to coexist with everything that happens on the ground. And if you have innovation on the ground with much more capacity that we offer through the air, and then you can actually, make it so efficient and optimize the urban mile in a way that you will get your stuff much, much quicker. And if you have that, if it just becomes a standard that you get your stuff for next hour or next 2 hours, and even in flexible spots, I mean, you can also deliver it to some station at your workplace, whatsoever. You are not always home also, but
of course,
at some point you get the flexibility and to deliver goods, to get your goods, and also the quickness, so that everything is there no matter when you want it. Then it's attractive enough that people will use it. And of course, the sustainability part is just an extra for them, for the general community. So to say. I still, of course, young people are more open for sustainable technologies, but in the end, if you want to look at it in a very frank way, sustainability is most of the time, it's not the driver for mass adaptation.
Okay, yeah, agreed. I think what we often see is, well, I've spoken to a lot of people, and their solution is that it's much more sustainable. There's it's much better for the planet environment, but quite often there is, it's cheaper, or it's, whatever, it's quicker. There's another benefit. So it's, and when you tie that in, it's a win-win for everybody. But what I really like about yourself and Urban Ray, Cem, is that, like you said, coming back to what you said earlier, the problem that you're starting out tackling at the moment is around the healthcare sector as well. So you're having that double impact in terms of enabling people to get their medication or their test results quicker. So that has a huge human impact, social impact, as well as environmental as well. So that's, you've got that kind of double-edged sword as to, why wouldn't someone want to use your service rather than the traditional method?
Exactly. I mean, of course, if you look at our company, it always seems like it's a deep tank company, but we also see ourselves as an impact company. Of course, it's about transportation in general, so electric transportation and that active reduction of CO2 emissions, also passive reduction as the traffic will be decreased and so on. So a lot of things going on, but at the same time, it's, as we start in the medical sector, it's also socially a huge impact, because we did internships at the hospitals to understand the processes where it's just crazy. All the taxis that are parked in front of the hospital, they're just,
you said that.
They're not
crazy. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how inefficient it is. I mean, of course, we enjoy a very high medical standard here in Germany or in Europe in general, but still, it's still super inefficient. There are a lot of things that you can make better. And with just an ad hoc quick delivery option that they have, basically a pipe delivery through the air that they're offering, with that alone, I mean, the patients will get much quicker feedback, and they can get treated better. Hospitals can actually reduce the time for surgeries or the duration of stay for patients, so they have more capacity in general. And at the same time, they can improve their processes. So maybe they can actually close down a small POCT laboratory that they're still operating, so they can be more cost efficient. So just that pipe delivery through the air, and we don't do much there, it's already a huge improvement for the medical standard that we have. So it's just, it's not only about ecological impact, it's also about social impact. And at some point, if our network is established in a huge way, Then of course, what we say, our vision will be actually realized. So to make goods accessible anytime for everyone. Because, for example, if we order something from the US, it is here in Cologne in around 12 or 14 hours. We can track it. But then in Cologne, to get it to our workshop, still needs at least 24 hours. And if you can reduce that to an hour maybe or two, then you will have every delivery, I mean, from one location to another, no matter where they are in the world, that they will not take longer than a day.
Yeah.
If you can reach that again, it's a totally new social impact in the end, because more people have access to the same level of goods. And with that, the economic prosperity that can thrive afterwards, just with a much, much better infrastructure that they're offering. And we are not, again, it's not hard what we're doing. It's just a few lockers that they're positioning in the city. It's just immense. So yeah, the impact that we will have of our totally new stage of transportation, it's still I can't even exactly put it in numbers how big that is actually.
Cool. Well, and Cem, look, we're kind of coming now towards the end of our allotted time, but I just wanted to kind of find out what the future looks like for the business. I think you're roughly now 2 years old, based in Cologne. I think you said 15 to 17 employees, something like that within the business. But what does the next couple of years look like? 2, 3, 5 years? If we fast forward, what would you expect Urban Ray to kind of look and feel like in the future?
So this year we are actually reaching, or not this year, even this month, we will reach technology readiness. So our drones basically are ready to fly in pilot operations. And then we will start the full application process at the Federal Aviation Office here in Germany, aiming to start the pilot operations at the beginning of next year. And then our pilot operations will basically take over 2 years. So 2 years, but is first maybe flying in peripheral areas, so not overpopulated areas, and over time further improve our technology, also always together with the authorities to get direct feedback and to actually make urban operations happen as smooth as possible. So yeah, just taking one step after another during the pilot operations towards operations in populated areas. And then the goal would be from 2026 to actually commercialize urban logistics in the medical sector, together with our pilot partners first, and then over time with many, many more partners, so that it becomes a standard over time. So people should have to get used to it. And if you start in the healthcare sector, but again, public acceptance is much, much higher. I mean, everyone has experienced it. If you start your drone somewhere, people get annoyed, but if it's for healthcare, it's different.
Yeah, sure.
People will understand. So they will get used to it. Other B2B verticals will be added to our network over time. And what we want to do is that aerial logistics with Urban Ray will become a standard until the end of the decade. So starting with commercialization in 2026, and then ever growing our infrastructure, so that at the end of the decade, it will be totally normal. That people will definitely say, "Okay, I would have never imagined that this is the new normal." I always like to compare it to 2010 and 2020. 2010, Facebook just entered Europe, so it was not that big, and no one would have ever imagined how digital we would be in 2020.
Yeah.
And same will be for this decade for hardware. So really looking forward to that moment that I'm sitting in a cafe somewhere in 2030, and someone next to me is just saying, "I would have never imagined that these drones will become normal."
And you'll be thinking, I've played a major role in that.
We've done that. Yeah, we've done that. That's really
cool.
Yeah.
And I think you also you're working on something exciting right now as well from a funding perspective. Is that right?
Yes. So we just secured our pre-seed round, but I mean, the pre-seed round for us, it was important that we win great angels that support us on our way in the future. So it's a shareholder setup that is based on common learning and interaction. That was really good. And now we are actually already starting to outreach for the seed round. We want to close it until the end of this year. I'm talking to different investors already who know us from different events in the past as well. And now, we're pushing it. And then if everything goes well, after the seed round, the pilot operation can start right away. So we can further work on our Urban Ray in full throttle mode. with the goal to push the pilot operations and to demonstrate that you can actually make it happen. And then, of course, the sea drone is not only for the pilot operations. The next step would be to get the authorization or the regulatory readiness for urban operations. So yeah,
Brilliant.
together we can
Okay. Well, a lot of work to be done, no doubt. Lots of a lot of hard sweat and tears, and I'm sure, like Joe, I'm sure you're going to make a huge success of it. I'm sure we'll be keeping our eyes and ears peeled for your drones in the next coming years. And look, perhaps it'd be a good idea, in the future we can jump back onto another video and sort of discuss how the business is going. No doubt, you would have taken many twists and turns, and I'm sure you'll have added various other verticals into your armor as well. So, Cem, it's been a real pleasure having you on, and we'll look forward to kind of following up and seeing what the future looks like.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. Same here. Looking forward to our next call and maybe checking it out again. What happened?
Thanks, Cem. I'll catch you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.